Hello there, Star Wars fans, and welcome to this week's fan fiction. This one is going to be what if Anakin joined Dooku and Sidious while they were fighting on the Invisible Hand after Palpatine was captured. I think this is a really interesting one. It's one I wanted to do for a bit, and I'm basing it heavily on the Revenge of the Sith novelization, which goes in depth on Dooku's original plan. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to be doing today. Please leave a like, subscribe if you enjoy, and comment what was your favorite part, or comment what you'd like to see next for my fan fictions. Alright, let's get into this one. Should be fun. Appreciate each and every one of you. Let's do it right now. The Clone Wars raged on, and the battle above Coruscant was well underway. Anakin and Obi-Wan, heroes of the Republic, swooped in to join the battle, to save the Chancellor. Anakin flew into battle in his signature Jedi Starfighter, but this was not the same Anakin from the beginning of the Clone Wars. This was an Anakin Skywalker tired of war, tired of politics, tired of the Jedi, the Sith, tired of it all. But here he was, going to save the man he trusted above everyone else. And as Anakin shot down separatist ships with ease, he thought about recent events. The Jedi Council had grown concerned that Palpatine was purposely trying to extend the war, and Palpatine was convinced the Jedi were trying to take over. Anakin had been assigned a council seat via Palpatine, and then the council secretly assigned him to spy on the Chancellor. And on top of that, the Jedi still refused to trust him, and it showed with him not being granted the rank of Master. On the council and not a Master. Yet here I am, cleaning up the mess of the council once again. I'll show them, thought Anakin. These events, by the way, which we see take place after Anakin kills Dooku in Revenge of the Sith, take place beforehand. As in this version, Palpatine planned to keep Dooku alive, and basically this is the big day for them. Obi-Wan and Anakin flew through the droids and found the ship they were looking for. There, Anakin, the Invisible Hand, dead ahead, Obi-Wan said. And Anakin snapped out of his thoughts for now, and the two pursued the ship's entrance. Count Dooku and Darth Sidious, disguised as Chancellor Palpatine, sat in the ship awaiting the arrival of the Jedi. "It will be an embarrassment to be captured by him," Dooku said aloud. "An embarrassment you will survive, Lord Tyrannus. Together we have ensured the galaxy has fallen in love with Anakin Skywalker. Not the Jedi, but Anakin." Dooku and Sidious had a grand plan, and this day was the culmination of it all. This was the most crucial day of the entire war for the Sith. This is where they would win. Sidious had done his best to plant every seed of doubt in Anakin's mind for this fateful day. Doubt for him that the Republic and Jedi were truly honorable, and doubt that anyone but a Sith could save Padme. The plan? Turn Anakin, pretend he captured Dooku, and then infiltrate the Jedi from the inside. The two waited in anticipation for Skywalker and Kenobi to arrive, and Dooku spoke again. "May I suggest we give Kenobi one last chance, my master?" Sidious replied, "Ah yes, Kenobi. You have long been interested in him, haven't you?" Dooku said, "Well, of course. He was the Padawan of my Padawan. He is my grandson, from a certain point of view." "Kenobi is too indoctrinated in the ways of the Jedi. He is the symbol of what these dogmatic Jedi have become. You must kill him, and the leash holding Skywalker back will be snapped." "I understand, my lord," said Dooku. And he truly did. He truly did understand. He held sentiment for Kenobi, but Skywalker was the Jedi Sidious had spent nearly 2 decades manipulating. This was the endgame, and Dooku couldn't be more pleased to be alongside Sidious for it all. "Leave now, Tyrannus. I sense the Jedi will be appearing any minute now," and Dooku departed. When he next spoke to Sidious, things would be different. Kenobi and Skywalker had entered the ship and now entered the room and saw Chancellor Palpatine, hands tied to a chair that swiveled around. "Master Jedi, I am pleased to see you, but I fear this is a trap from the Sith. You are no match for the Dark Lord." "Chancellor Palpatine," Anakin replied, "we're here to rescue you." "This war, it must end soon," Anakin said to him. And Dooku spoke from behind. "Ironic, Jedi. I was about to say the same thing," said Dooku before floating down to meet the two Jedi head-on. As Dooku waited to greet them, he sensed the Jedi and their feelings. Kenobi was truly what the Jedi Order aspired to be, calm, focused, selfless, and arrogant. That's not what the Jedi wanted, but he couldn't help but notice the arrogance of the Jedi inside of Kenobi. But Skywalker, he was a storm cloud, and Dooku's task was to release the storm hidden away inside of him, hidden behind those walls Skywalker had built inside. Dooku approached, igniting his lightsaber. His task, destroy Kenobi, then defend against Skywalker as he discovers the true power of the dark side of the Force. The battle begun, and Dooku held his own for a bit, but then was taken aback by how powerful this duo was in the Force, especially together. Dooku found himself on the defense for the first bit of the fight, as the two Jedi worked in perfect tandem, striking together and wielding the Force to guide each other's moves. Against most saber wielders, this would have been a rather quick fight, but Dooku was no ordinary fighter. He was perhaps just as skilled, if not more, than anyone else in the galaxy, in battle with a lightsaber. And Dooku began to understand this was not only a test for Skywalker, but also himself from Darth Sidious. After a bit, he flipped away and called upon all of the Force. This was the time, with both Jedi feeling overconfident that victory will come. He would now destroy Kenobi, and in turn destroy the walls holding Skywalker back. And as the Jedi approached, they swung once more in unison, but Dooku focused on getting Kenobi alone, parried the strike from Skywalker, kicked him in the chin, and watched him fly back for only a second, before Kenobi's saber whizzed just past Dooku's torso. This was the moment. As this happened, Dooku used his free hand to grab the saber from Kenobi, throwing it aside and lifting him with the Force, choking him. Dooku looked over to Skywalker, and the two locked eyes, Skywalker frozen, as Dooku snapped Kenobi's neck, pulled him in, and stabbed him through the heart. Obi-Wan Kenobi was gone. Anakin was in shock. "Master," he gasped before igniting his saber and lunging at Dooku. Dooku pushed him away rather easily, as Anakin was unbalanced now in fury, but with every second, Dooku knew, Anakin would understand more of this power. The plan was unfolding. "I sense the furnace inside of you, Skywalker. Use it. Destroy the walls holding you back. Stop letting the dogmatic Jedi hold you back from your power. Hold you back from killing me. Hold you back from saving Senator Amidala." Dooku started to taunt him. There it is, Dooku thought. The right buttons were pushed, and Skywalker looked at him with a new look. A look that belongs to no Jedi. A look of hatred. This was it. Anakin pulled Dooku off the balcony with the Force that he resided on and attempted to stab him, but Dooku blocked the strike as he stumbled toward the ground. He had to gather himself and stood up as Anakin strode towards him. Dooku called to the Force, needing enough power to defend himself until Anakin Skywalker was too far gone, without him ever really realizing it. Anakin striked at Dooku and began driving him back step by step. Even still, Dooku could feel the furnace of his power, the furnace of his heart, hidden away by the walls the Jedi had forced Skywalker to create. They were crumbling, but not broken yet. Dooku finally understood why Sidious was obsessed with this boy. The power despite the walls was nearly unbearable. He was halfway to becoming a Sith, but was too focused on his own rage, too focused on killing Dooku, to even know how far gone he was. Dooku taunted him again. "You're afraid, Skywalker. You are just a child pretending to understand the power you wield." And this simple taunt from Dooku made Anakin grow in both anger and fear. The angrier he became, the more he feared of what he may become if he used it. Dooku was so close. Now he shot a bolt of energy at Anakin, finally catching him off guard. The boy was afraid of himself more than anything else. "Use your anger. Use it or I'll gut you like I did your master. Use it to end this war," Dooku exclaimed. "Enough," said Anakin, as he used the Force to counter the lightning Dooku was firing, and continued to do so, until the lightning was being forced back at Dooku. Anakin was using every emotion he'd kept hidden behind walls, and it was working. It felt amazing. Anakin began striking Dooku with the lightning, and then began to summon his own. Power flowed through him. He was free, he was the chosen one, and he would show it. He dropped all the walls hiding his power, hiding the darkness inside of him, and he sent Dooku flying into the wall behind him, scorched from Anakin's lightning. As Dooku began to get up now, Anakin grabbed him by the throat with the Force and stared at him. This ends now, and as Anakin was about to kill Dooku, a powerful force pushed him to the ground, and a familiar voice spoke. "Good, Anakin, good," said Palpatine. "Feel the power inside of you. Feel the Force, feel everything you've been forced to hold back. You must embrace the power, Anakin. As we both know now, there is no coming back from what you have done." Anakin couldn't believe it. He was in shock, but he had just used all of the darkness inside of him, and he loved how it felt. But still, he looked at Palpatine. "You are the Sith Lord we've been looking for. You're the separatist that can end this war." "Anakin, search your feelings. I am not evil like the Jedi have taught you. The dark side is simply an opening to be your true self. You felt it. I trust you, Anakin. The Jedi have been simply using you for years, and now you see why they've held you back. They are afraid of you, Anakin. Afraid you'll interfere with their plans to take over the Republic." Anakin was shocked by all of this. He could not believe it. He stared at Palpatine, and Palpatine spoke again. "Lord Vader, Anakin, do what you want for the first time in your life. Do the one thing these Jedi fear most. Make up your own mind. Do what you think is right. Free yourself." This was the first time that anyone really had given Anakin just permission to be himself. Permission to just use the darkness, use the power inside of him. "Pledge yourself to the Sith, Anakin. It is your destiny. Join us, and together we will create a new republic, a new empire, an empire that you will be the commanding general of, as we reform the Jedi and Sith to create one powerful Sith army." Anakin wanted to argue. He wanted to lash out. He wanted to kill them both, but he couldn't. The Sith had unlocked power inside of him he didn't even know he had, and only they had the power to save Padme. "You didn't have to kill Obi-Wan," Anakin said, still clearly in shock from everything happening. And Dooku finally got up and started to speak again. "Unnecessary loss, but one that shows you the true power of the Sith. The death of Qui-Gon was what pushed me over the edge. The Jedi fools sent just him and Obi-Wan to defeat a Sith Lord, and they made the same mistake again today," Dooku said, "making you and Kenobi do the dirty work." And Palpatine backed him up, saying, "The death of Kenobi was not in vain, Anakin, as it allowed you to merely taste your potential." And Anakin stood there for what felt like forever, thinking. He could join the Sith now, or turn them over to the Jedi, losing out on their power for an order he barely trusted. I will join you," Anakin finally said. "Good," Palpatine replied. "A powerful Sith you will become, Anakin. But henceforth, you shall be known as Darth," and Sidious breathed in, calling to the Force. "Vader." Anakin looked up at him. "Yes, my master." And the Sith began to explain their plan to him, how this was always Anakin's destiny. Anakin would capture Dooku, per se, and as the Sith would depart this ship, with Dooku as Anakin's prisoner and the Chancellor saved, they would blow up the engines with bombs that Dooku had planted, and this would destroy Grievous and seemingly end the war, with Grievous gone and Dooku captured. Sidious predicted then that the Jedi would come to arrest or execute the Chancellor, and then the purge would begin. Anakin deep down knew that Sidious was right, that the Jedi would attempt to take over. There would be one final battle, Anakin thought, and this war could come to an end. And events would proceed as Sidious predicted. Anakin would handcuff Dooku, they would get into a ship, and leave the Invisible Hand, blowing it up from the inside, killing General Grievous, without him ever knowing that he was to be blamed for this entire war. Now Anakin would land on Coruscant, hand Dooku to the Jedi. His newfound darkness, his newfound power, was hidden behind new walls that he'd put up. Not the walls the Jedi had created, but walls he himself had created to hide the darkness inside of him. Now, in a council meeting after all of this, the Jedi decided it was time to arrest the Chancellor if he would not give up his power, and Anakin insisted to go along with Master Windu, Kit Fisto, Ficiton, Asian Kolar, and Master Yoda. As they prepared to leave, Anakin went to see Padme for the first time in months. And Anakin, he'd thought he was shocked before, but this moment, well, this was the happiest moment of his life. Just seeing Padme turned him back into the boy on Tatooine for a moment. But today she revealed something crazy. She revealed that she was pregnant. This is the happiest moment of my life, Anakin told her. But then, he had to tell her what the Jedi were planning, as well as everything else that had transpired. Padme, I have to go. The Jedi Council, they're going to arrest Palpatine. Or worse. I've seen them in council meetings, Padme. The Jedi are planning to take over the Republic with force, and I cannot let them. Palpatine is a good man, the best man I've ever known, but he is powerful with the force. I've felt it, I've seen it, and I'm going with the Jedi on a shuttle to his office. A small war, a small battle between the Jedi and the Sith is inevitable. Padme, I don't know what to do. And Anakin was tearing up at this point. Padme was in disbelief. The Jedi taking over. The Chancellor powerful in the Force. All of this was far too complicated and far too powerful for the Senate to even handle right now. But she knew she married the chosen one. She married the greatest Jedi of all. She trusted him to do what he believed was right. Trust your feelings, Anakin. Trust the Force, as Qui-Gon taught you all those years ago. Anakin looked up at her. All he needed was her approval. He was free to do what he felt was right. The two embraced, and Anakin boarded the Jedi shuttle, unsure of exactly what was to come. But he was a Sith agent among them. Anakin had embraced the Sith, but the conflict that was always there was now reversed. As he had embraced the dark, the light was trying to emerge. The light that wanted him to take over for himself. The light that wanted him to kill Palpatine and Dooku. But also the Jedi. Anakin wanted power for himself. Yeah, either way, the Jedi would land, and they would march to Palpatine's office together. Anakin hung near the back. None of the Jedi spoke, but Anakin could sense their fear. They had no idea what they were walking into, Anakin thought. The doors to Palpatine's office opened, and the Jedi stepped in one by one. To their surprise, though, Count Dooku stood next to Chancellor Palpatine. Palpatine secretly switched on a recording device, audio only. Ah, Master Jedi, what a surprise. I've allowed Count Dooku to join me to discuss the end of this war. How may I be of service to you? Master Yoda, Master Tin, Master Fisto, Master Kola, and Master Skywalker. I hope you are all well, Palpatine said in his charming political voice. Windu spoke up. Hardly a surprise, Chancellor. We've come to ensure you step down as Chancellor, effective immediately. Step down, or we will be taking you into custody. Custody, Master Jedi, I am the Supreme Chancellor of the Republic you are sworn to serve, given emergency powers by the Senate that you serve. I must not understand what you mean. This sounds like treason, Jedi, Palpatine said. You are under arrest, Chancellor, Windu spoke, and lightsabers ignited. The Jedi had gone down such a path where they thought this was the right move. Anakin, he knew it was going to happen, but he still couldn't believe it. Palpatine switched off his recording device. Jedi fools, he spat as he ignited his own saber, along with Dooku. The Sith Lord, you are, Yoda asked, bewildered. The Jedi all now were in a state of fear and confusion, and Palpatine looked at Anakin, noticing he was clearly conflicted and still a little brainwashed by these Jedi, but the darkness had consumed him, and Anakin was ready. Lord Vader, do what you want. Do the one thing these Jedi fear most, as I told you. Make up your own mind. Do what you think is right, Vader. Free yourself, Palpatine said. The Jedi now were even more confused. But Anakin finally had permission to just use his power, and he had clear proof now that the Jedi were too far gone. And while the Jedi were distracted, not sure what was going on, Anakin let all of the dark side flow through him, giving him power, giving him strength, showing him what he wanted to see. And in one motion, he ignited his own saber and promptly cut down Master Kolar in one quick swoop. Master Tin looked to fight him back, but Anakin just stabbed right through him before Mace Windu struck now at Anakin. As Windu turned and struck at Anakin, he jumped back to join Dooku and Sidious. "This is the end for you, my masters." Now Mace Windu, Master Yoda, and Kit Fisto versus Darth Sidious, Darth Tyrannus, and Darth Vader. The battle began promptly and was unlike anything that had been seen in centuries. The three of the most powerful Jedi versus the Sith. Anakin took on Mace Windu while Sidious and Yoda fought. Dooku singled out Kit Fisto, knowing this would be a rather easy fight for him. And the three battles were all fairly even to start, but Dooku was reinvigorated with energy, as he knew the war was finally ending. He knew his part was finally going to be played in this entire war. He would finally win. As the two would fight, he would slash Kit Fisto across the leg and then cut across his spine as he fell backwards. One Jedi down, and he now moved to help Anakin with Mace Windu. Dooku and Anakin, two fallen Jedi that hated Windu more than any other Jedi, faced him head on. Windu was arrogant to both of them. He didn't ever trust both of them, not liking their ways of not being directly loyal to the Council at all times. And Windu held his own now for a bit against the two Sith, calling up use of his Vapad to use the darkness to his advantage. But the two Sith, fighting him with hatred, would end up killing him without much hesitation, and all three would converge on Yoda. Yoda was no match. This was the beginning of the end for the Jedi. The Chancellor's office was littered with the bodies of the Jedi, and now they would add one more, as they were able to very easily overpower Yoda with all three Sith, killing him. The three Sith would gather, and their plan was truly coming together. Palpatine instructed Anakin and Dooku to go lead the clones to the temple, killing all of the Jedi. When Anakin asked how he knew the clones would betray the Jedi, Palpatine just told him to trust him as he called out Order 66. All clones across the galaxy would kill the Jedi that were either returning to Coruscant at the end of the war or still fighting meaningless battles, not knowing what was going on. Now, the Jedi Temple purge would occur as Dooku and Anakin took the 501st, two extremely powerful Sith Lords, taking out the Jedi Temple. There would be survivors, almost intentionally, as Dooku and Anakin would take these survivors in, and they would be turned into Sith, as the new Empire would be enforced with a Sith army. The rule of two was dead. It was gone. Rather, Palpatine would see himself as the true ruler, with a bunch of Sith kind of below him. He was the new Sith Emperor. Once the Jedi were killed, Palpatine would go to the Senate and present the recording that clearly shows the Jedi trying to take over, trying to arrest him, trying to take over the Republic with treason. And Palpatine was able to rather easily take over as Emperor, proposing the Sith army now, an army of Force wielders led by Republic hero Anakin Skywalker, with Count Dooku still alive in this. Count Dooku was able to be the face of the political affairs. Many separatist people who trusted him would help join the Empire, and it was a success. Dooku presented himself as an elite political mind. People trusted him. But now, as things were starting to settle down, as peace had happened, as the new Sith Emperor took over, with Sith army below him at his command, Anakin would go with Padme to Naboo to have their children. Padme and Anakin spent a ton of time on Naboo, as Padme safely has her children. She doesn't trust an emperor, but she understands the Jedi could not have been allowed to take over either. Instead, she didn't know what side to support, so she had walked away from politics now to raise her children, at least for now. And Anakin, he was happy with the peace, happy with the war being over, but he knew someday the Sith were ruthless. He knew the Emperor would come for his children. But before that time could come, Anakin would devote himself to becoming more powerful than Sidious and Dooku combined. He would become the Force. He would become the true chosen one. Knowing that this could not last forever, this peace was not real among the Sith. For now, the Emperor would take over and have his fun, but Anakin was plotting. Anakin knew this reign could not last. Anakin knew the Sith were never truly friends. He understood that someday he would have to kill them and take over the galaxy for himself. That's where I'm going to end this one. Might do a part 2. But yeah, I just really wanted to go in depth on how the Sith could have turned Anakin in that moment if Palpatine wanted to keep Dooku alive. Yeah, I think this was fun to write, fun to talk about, fun to go over. Let me know your thoughts. What would you have changed? What would you have liked to see more in depth on? The Jedi Temple thing was a bit harder. I mean, not harder, but just quicker in this one. As I think it would have just been like Order 66, but with Count Dooku also helping. And then Inquisitors, basically Sith army this time, under Dooku and Anakin's control. But of course, eventually, the Sith are going to kill one another. It's just the way of things. But let me know. What do you think? And yeah, what would you like to see next? Please leave a like, and please do subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.